Hey guys, man, it's 9132, and I'm the Robot Wars Guru. Well, it's time for me to be taken out of my comfort zone, I guess. No script, very little editing, just thinking off the old noggin, and as you can tell by how awkward I am already, that's not really me. I'm very much a script-based person. I need a script. Without one, I am nothing. And I really mean that. And again, with one, I'm also pretty much nothing as well. So that's neither here or there. Basically, I'm rambling. You see, I'm rambling right now because I need a script. I'm terrible without a script. But for this video, I don't really need one. A week ago, to celebrate the fact that I have reached 50 videos of Robot Wars Guru on this channel, I asked you guys, the people who view these videos because you clearly have nothing better to do with your life than watch me moan about robot combat and robot wars and all that other crap, to ask me some questions for a Q&A video. I genuinely thought to myself, I'm going to give them a week, and in that week I'll probably get, maybe 8, at a push 10 comments, maybe a couple of questions each comment. Boy, was I wrong! I was actually quite blown away, to be honest, by just how many people did comment. Within 24 hours I had over 25 comments, which was over double what I thought I would get in a week. And overall I managed to get to over 30, which is absolutely fantastic. I can't actually believe just how many people did want to hear my thoughts on certain things. It really did take me by surprise and made me kind of realise how much I am, I guess, liked out there. So thank you very much for everybody who actually did comment on this and actually did ask a question. I really, really appreciate it. I genuinely was taken aback. Like I said, I could not believe how many people wanted to hear my thoughts on things. So the fact that that many people in such a short amount of time as well wanted to really was quite surprising. So a big, big thank you to everybody who did comment, and especially the ones who commented in the first 24 hours. In fact, no, just everyone in general, because like I said, you guys take time out of your valuable days and out of your valuable lives just to see me moaning about Robot Wars. So the least I can do is be thankful. Before I get into it, I would just like to quickly say shout out to this YouTuber, Kyle's Review. He did ask this question. Unfortunately, though, this was after the cut-off date, so I won't be answering it. That was one of the main rules of the video. However, don't worry, because somebody else did ask a similar question to this as well, so you will get an answer to that question regardless. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. So first up, the Jimmy Cotton from Robotic Idiotic says, "Yes, I have a question. Why are you such a legend?" That's a very simple one, Jimmy. When I came to visit you a couple weeks ago, I absorbed your legend status when I entered your back passage. So, nice easy one to start things off with there. Silver TARDIS asks me, how would you rank each series of the BattleBots reboot? First things first, hi Silver TARDIS, been a long time. Bring back Cyber Wars, you know you want to. How would I rank all the reboot series of BattleBots? That's a tough one because, I'll be honest, I don't remember a lot of them. Like, I watched them all, but I don't remember everything that happened. It's not like Robot Wars where it just stuck to my brain straight away. A lot of it I would probably have to rewatch a lot of. But off the top of my head, I'd probably say Discovery Season 2 was my least favourite. Because not Discovery Season 2, sorry, ABC Season 2, the second one. Because I didn't even watch the whole thing, I don't think. I just didn't really enjoy it. I thought the battles were very meh and very mid-tier from what I saw. I didn't like the judging criteria for that series. A lot of robots that didn't deserve to win went through, and a lot of robots that did deserve to win didn't go through. Sawblades. So yeah, and because of that, I felt a lot of machines that didn't deserve to get as far as they did, and I found that very frustrating. And yeah, overall, it just wasn't really for me, that series. Then I'd say ABC Season 1. It was an alright return for the series, but they were still ironing out all the wrinkles, so you can expect there to be some issues, but it just wasn't all that great. Next, I would say probably Discovery Season 5. That's the one where all the COVID problems happened. Because of that, we had a very small field of robots, if I remember correctly, and that meant that a lot of robots were the same, so we were seeing the same battles over and over again, and it got a bit boring. The few robots that we did get that were new weren't very good either, and overall I think the battle quality was lacking that series overall, so yeah, that one's probably next. Then I'd probably say Discovery Season 6 for very much the same reason, only a little bit less. It was great seeing Tantrum get the W, but I really hated all the drama and all the bitter fans of the show that were crying and accusing the show of the producers of bias and rigging the series and all that. It just really was not needed at all in the slightest, in my opinion. then I'd probably have to say Discovery Season 4. Not because there's anything wrong with it, it's just I don't think it was as good as the next two, is the honest answer. It was an alright series. It would have been nice to see Bite Force actually lose a fight, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers, can they, I suppose. Then I'd say Discovery Season 3. That series was absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. I absolutely adored every moment of it. It has some of my all-time favourite battles in it. For example, Huge versus Free Shipping. Absolutely fantastic fight. It was before it was a sort of in-between period when BattleBots wasn't being taken as serious as it is now, but at the same time it was being taken more seriously than just a bunch of toasters in an arena, you know what I mean? It was that sort of a thing. So, and like I said, just some great battles. And it was great to see Bite Force come back and absolutely steamroll everything. That thing was fucking daft. Yes, you heard it here. And that was my favourite for a long time, that series. But it got recently eclipsed, of course, by the most recent series, and that's Discovery Season 7, World Championship 7. That was absolutely fantastic in my opinion. Again, just because all the battles were incredible. I can't think of I mean, there were a couple of bad ones, obviously. There's always going to be a couple of bad ones, but the good by far outweighed the bad in that series, and there were some great fights and great moments. I could have done without all the over-the-top drama, especially around Riptide, but at the end of the day, it's an American show. They live and breathe drama over there, so we're always going to get that, unfortunately. But as far as just battles are concerned, it was a brilliant series, and I loved the final, not just the actual final battle, but the whole episode as a whole was brilliant. I can't think of a bad fight on it. And that grand finale battle between Huge and Sawblaze, chef's kiss. So yeah, that's how I'd rate those. Crystal Carnage says, "Hello Anderson, congratulations on 50 episodes. I super enjoy them and can't wait for 50 more." Cheers mate, I really appreciate it, thank you very much. Anyways, here are my questions. Number 1, what is the first battle you've ever seen on Robot Wars? The first battle I ever saw on Robot Wars was Onslaught versus Armageddon, Heat Eye of Series 3. That was the first ever episode of Robot Wars I ever watched, and it blew my mind. Obviously, I wouldn't be a fan of the show today if it wasn't for that battle, I guess. I remember I was watching it at a friend's house. I went over to his house after school. We had turkey twizzlers and curly fries, as you did back then, before Jamie Oliver ruined everything, you frickin' big-tongued prick, you know where you are. So yeah, I was at my mate's house. We watched the double bill of The Simpsons on BBC, and then Robot Wars was coming on, and I actually thought Robot Wars would be something like Transformers, like a cartoon showing robots fighting each other, and when I then saw humans fighting RC ovens with saw blades attached to them and all that, I just lost my mind. I thought it was absolutely incredible and fell in love with it. But yeah, the first battle I ever saw was Armageddon versus Onslaught from Series 3 Heat Eye. Did you expect Pinky to win RWA Rebirth Series 3? Did I fuck? That was a big surprise. I don't really, I mean, it sounds weird, you know, oh, you control the robots, how do you not know? I have an idea in my head about what might happen, but overall I just let physics take over. So, for example, if I flip a robot using a flipper and it goes out the arena, well, that's that. Even if that robot was favoured to win the series. A big example of this is Dogmeat. Dogmeat 3.0, I put so much hard work and effort into that thing, and it lost in round 2 because its wheel fell off. And I'm personally a believer of not rigging series. So, that wheel fell off. Oh great, that's my favourite gone out the window straight away. Brilliant, it's only round 2. Awesome. So yeah, no, I had no idea. Genuinely was shocked, and it was to the point where I thought in the grand final, well, this is it then. This is when Shredder wins, and you know it's the seeded machine. It's the highest seeded machine, I should say. It's going to win the fight, and oh, its weapon holder's broken, and now its weapons come off. Well, that's come out of nowhere. I didn't even expect Pinky to flip Stinger out the arena. I genuinely did not mean for that to happen. I just literally flicked it and it just went out. I was like, oh, alright then. Bye, Stinger. Thanks for coming. So, yeah, no, I definitely didn't expect that at all. Which one of your custom Family Robot Wars machines you wished was a real heavyweight robot? Probably Icefire. It's the one I'm probably the most proud of because it's got that fun flipper mechanism and it just looks really cool. I've actually made a new one recently which I'm not going to show you now because it's a bit of a surprise, but it does look really, really nice. It's one of the few I'm very, very proud of. So yeah, probably Icefire. I always ask this question in the Q&A, do you prefer cake or ice cream? Very tough question, this one. I am a fat man, so I do like my cake and I do like my ice cream, but if I had to pick one, I'd say ice cream, because even if you get a mid-tier or even a low-tier ice cream, it's still reasonably good. If you get a mid-tier or a low-tier cake, it's dry, it's got fruit in it, it's just not a good thing at all, and it very much upsets me. And I take cake very seriously. because I love cake. Meanwhile, ice cream, I mean, even like, you know, the cheap £1.50 tubs from the supermarket are at least half decent. So I'd probably say ice cream just because you've got more of a chance of getting something good with it. Sodor Contraries 432. Sorry if I butchered that. I'm not brilliant with names, I must admit. How are you doing with RWA Series 4? Yeah, that's a fun thing. So it's been a while, I admit, and I do want to continue it. I've put a lot of hard work and a lot of time into RWA. I've built a fuck ton of new robots for it. I've upgraded a lot of my robots for it. I've got a lot of plans for it. I've done so much stuff in it. It's just finding the time. I am a very, very busy man, unfortunately. And I know that's a typical YouTuber excuse, but it's the truth. I'm a married man. I am a father figure. I have a full-time job. I have a social life I have to keep up with as well, which is very irritating. As well as the fact that I'm trying to also move on in a career that I actually really want to do. So I've got a lot on my plate right now. When I do get enough time, I will definitely do it. I do have lots of plans for it. I did even have plans to have some uploaded at the end of this year. It's only July, so never say never, but I can't guarantee it. But I do want to. I definitely do want to do it, and I definitely am hoping to have some results soon, but we'll see. DW97 asks, what is your favourite and least favourite thing about each series of Robot Wars and BattleBots if you choose? Right, this is a tough one because there's a lot to go through, so I'm going to try and speed run it as quickly as I possibly can. Series 1, best thing about it, the look. I loved how grungy it was. I loved the fact that it looked like a Mad Max set. I liked... it felt very underground, almost like it was an illegal thing that only the richest people in the United Kingdom would do. They gather together and fight robots and wage money on it. It just looked really, really cool. This is the worst part about it, honestly, was the battles, to be honest. The fact that there's only 5 battles I can think of that were actually considerable to be good, and even then, that's under severe quotation marks. Yeah, I'll be honest, yeah, the battles just weren't that good. Series 2, it gave us Craig Charles and it gave us a Kill-Lot. That's the best thing about it. The worst thing about it, everything else, from the PPZ to the ridiculously over-the-top house robot attacks. I really wasn't a fan of the gauntlet changing every single episode. Like, at least in Series 1 it was consistent. There was a lot wrong with Series 2, and that's why it's probably my least favourite series of all time. Series 3... the fact that it all went to battles was good. Like I said, I wasn't really a massive fan of the gauntlet in Trials, so the fact that it went to just completely battles was nice. What I didn't like about it... oh, and of course the iconic moments. It had a lot of iconic moments in it. Hit and Disc's debut, Chaos 2 getting the first Uta, House Robots being flipped left, right and centre by Chaos 2. Lots of iconic, memorable moments in that series. But one thing I wasn't a fan of was how it was laid out, actually. I didn't like that robots... there were some heats that were really stacked and there were some heats that really weren't. I don't mind bad robots being entered into a series. I do feel they have a purpose as long as they get mullered or as long as they get destroyed and put on a good spectacle when losing. But when you have a heat full of bad robots and said bad robots are beating other bad robots, the battles aren't very good, and the robots that are losing aren't losing in the spectacular fashion they should do because they're being beaten by a robot that is as bad as they are and not as good as, say, Hypnodisc, Chaos 2 or Panic Attack. So yeah, I think that was probably the worst thing about Series 3. Series 4 is difficult, to be honest, because it's one of my favourite series, but if I had to pick a bad thing about it, it'd probably be the seedings. The seedings were all over the place, that series. They made no fucking sense whatsoever. Killer at seed 16th. Fuck the fuck off. That should never have happened. And there was too many seeds as well, and it was just all a bit of a mess and a clusterfuck, really. But as far as the actual good side of things go, I can't really limit it down to any one thing. There were so many great moments, there were so many great battles, great episodes. The trials were all good, so just pretty much everything that wasn't the seeds, really, for that series. Series 5, best thing about it was that it was a very stacked series, in my opinion. A lot of really good robots were in that series, to the point where it's the only series I can think of where the best robot of each heat actually won said heat. Every series always had a semi-finalist or 2 semi-finalists where you thought, don't really deserve to be there. Series 5 is the only one I can think of where they did. Every single robot that won its heat was easily the best robot of its heat and deserved to be where it was. So that's probably the best thing about it. The worst thing about it is almost the entirety of the first round. There was a lot of crap battles in the first round of Series 5, to the point where every single heat had at least 2 or 3 bad fights from round 1. It's just a fact, I'm afraid to say. Even the better heats like Heat H and Heat C had some terrible round 1 battles because the first round was awful, and the producer for some reason let some of the absolute worst robots in. Again, I don't mind bad robots being put in there, but for God's sake, when we have robots like Monad and Rohog, yet Arnold A and Cerberus get given the boot, you know you're doing something wrong. Series 6, best thing about it, well, again, it's a very good series, so it's very difficult to pinpoint anything in particular that I didn't like about it, but although I did like about it in one thing. I know what I didn't like about it, and that's the fact that they put spoilers at the beginning of every freaking episode. I hope whoever thought that was a good idea has been executed in public, because that was such a stupid idea. You are an idiot. As for best thing about it, again, I just think, in all honesty, just the all-star power. There were so many great robots in that series, and again, there was just so many great battles because of it, and it was just an even flow of brilliance, in my opinion. The first rounds were all great, the second round were all great, the heat finals were brilliant, semi-finals were good. That amazing grand final we had between Tornado and Razor was awesome. You know, yes, okay, there's lots of drama surrounding it, but as an actual battle, it was fantastic. So, yeah, that's probably that with that. Series 7, I loved the fact that Series 7 had a bit of a clean palette as such. A lot of Legend didn't return for that series, so that meant we got to see a lot of newer machines, or a lot of different machines, going far. Atomic, M2, Grim Reaper, you know, they're just a couple of examples I have. Raging Nightmare's another one. Exterminator being a grand final, for God's sake. You know, Bulldog Breed finally making out the heat. So many good robots finally got a chance to shine because of that. And I think that's probably the best thing about Series 7. The worst thing about Series 7, in my opinion, is that the producers just completely arse-fucked it one. Not only were they incredibly biased against certain robots, Storm 2, but they also just ruined it by, you know, screwing up the airing schedules, so nobody could watch it, and therefore they had a chance to screw it. That is the main reason why that series winds me up so much. Series 8, best thing about it was Robot Wars was on the air again. Worst thing about it, the editing. In honesty, the editing, it just wasn't quite as clear cut yet, in my opinion. It was alright, and it was a nice comeback for the series, but it could have been a lot better. It was still a perfectly serviceable series, in my opinion. Series 9, worst thing about it, in my opinion, was probably the pit, I'd say, because they really made that a hard thing to use, and because of that, a lot of battles that could have been over a lot quicker when they weren't very good dragged on. So yeah, that's as simple as that. Best thing about it, seeing Carbide actually work was nice to see, seeing it steamroll most things. But I'll be honest, Series 9 is definitely on the lower end of my series. I don't really like that series at all, to be honest. And then finally, Series 10. Finally, thank God, I've been rambling on forever about this question. Best thing about it, in my opinion, Series 10 was probably the fact that it was just a really great series as far as battles were concerned. We had, I mean, that amazing opening melee round with Carbide and Gabriel. Big Dipper was there as well, but we ignore that. You know, that was a really good fight. The actual grand final battle itself, Eruption, Carbide, fantastic. Really good moments as well. Not some memorable stuff happened. So yeah, I'd probably say that was probably the best thing about that one. Worst thing about it, I think a lot of robots were given too many chances. I mean, for God's sake, I understand having redemption rounds, but Series 10 really went overboard with that. I think you could lose 3 times, 4 times, and still be a champion. And Eruption, I think, was one of them. I think Eruption did do that. It lost quite a few times, I don't know that much, and it was still a champion at the end of it. Also Eruption, because I'm not a fan of Eruption, and seeing that thing do well always irritates me. So, yeah, there you go. As for BattleBots, I'm just going to lump it all into one, really, because BattleBots has the exact same... If every series is the same thing for me. I love the battles, hate the drama. Simple as that. Random Bad Channel asks, Robot Combat related. Favourite Robot Wars reboot battle? Oh, that's a tough one. But believe it or not, I was a big fan of Apollo vs Storm 2. Not their Heat final battle, but their head-to-head battle in Heat, I want to say D of Series 8. I think that was a really good fight. Very, very close. Is there an episode of Robot Wars Guru that you would remake? God, yes. tons of them in fact, but if I had to pinpoint anything in particular, the Annihilator one, my very first one, was awful. It was poorly edited, poorly recorded, poorly scripted by yours truly as well, and I just look back and think, what the hell was I thinking? I could have made a much better Annihilator than this. So yeah, so that's one of them. And a lot of the robot reviews, the first ones, I changed the way I did it after a while, and if I could go back, I would probably remake those to fit the criteria that I did. But then again, I've retired robot reviews now, so I probably won't ever do that. But yeah, those are the ones I would remake if I could. Will you ever do a video covering controversial decisions? Haven't got it on my plan at the moment, but I'm hoping to definitely have that in the pipeline eventually. There's a lot of decisions out there that people will agree with or disagree with, but yeah, I definitely do plan on doing that eventually, yeah, definitely. Non-robot combat related, do you prefer dark, white or milk chocolate, assuming you eat chocolate? Of course I eat chocolate, look at me. Difficult because I love all three, but it's probably got to be dark. 75% cocoa, elite tier. David of Smeg says, well, you asked for questions. 1. When will you finish your beetle? When out means out. 2. Why didn't you wait half an hour for me to give you the name Crab last year? Because Clementine's a better name, and because time is money, David. I have not got time to wait around while you can't even think of a half-decent name for a minibot. Which Proclaimer would you sacrifice first, Oliver or Jevon? I can't sacrifice either of them. If you get rid of one of them, the universe just implodes. It's like fish and chips. If you get rid of chips and only have fish, the universe just ends. I'm sorry, that's just how it works. Ignoring Atlas, which LEGO Wars robot is your favourite? Zoidy Blue. I just love that thing. I love how cool it looks. I love the claws. I love the fact that it's invertible. I love the fact that it's a really good control bot. I just love Zoidy Blue. It's great fun. Why are you the best commentator in the UK? Because I'm not a HATCHMATIC asks, what is your favourite robot and why is it pièce de résistance? Ha ha! Joke's on you, Jimmy boy! It's not pièce de résistance, it's Rohog. The answer was always Firestorm, but opinions have changed over the years. I don't even know if it's my favourite anymore, but I'm going to say Firestorm because it's easier. I do actually plan on doing something where I do go into my favourite robots in the future. I'm not going to elaborate on that right now because it's still very much a thinking process, but yeah, at the moment I'd say Firestorm. Oh, for fuck's sakes, Jevon. World of Woodrow asks, Anderson, important question. Are you aware of the whole gloves claws scenario surrounding not one, but two completely separate robots? Crustacean and Crabbot? Now, this is interesting actually, and I was thinking about doing this for like a sort of Guru Thoughts video, like a sort of a theory almost, because I'm almost certain, and I might be wrong here, but I've got a slight suspicion that Crustacean and Crabbot are the same robot? I mean, have you seen them both in the same room at the same time? Because I certainly haven't. One for all 12 asks, if you had the chance to see one battle live, what battle would you watch? Is that a dream battle or is that a battle that actually happened? If it's a battle that actually happened, Sawblaze versus Huge, I would love to have been there live for that because that fight was fucking awesome. Dream battle, I tell you what, I would have loved to have seen a Champions Rumble. Like I said in my things, I wish we actually got video. I would love to have seen Tornado versus Black Hole versus Panzer versus Pulverizer. I thought that would have been a really fun fight, and being there live for that I think would have been quite cool. So that's probably going to be my answer for that one. Bebeth Bello, again, sorry if I mispronounced that. Is there any other live event you plan on going to? Yes, definitely. To the point where I'm actually going, hopefully, to Battle in the Borough this year to do commentary there. That's going to be good fun. As for other live events, RoboNerd this year, that's going to be good fun as well. I always go to that, or at least I always try to go to that. And then next year I'm hoping to go to quite a few as well. Which ones in particular, I'm not too sure yet. I might even have something to compete with then, who knows. But either way, yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing more live events in the future for certain. Ollie Levy asks, question, for RWA Series 4, can you add Apollo or Carbide or even other Robot Wars / BattleBots robots from other series like Shadowcat from Robot Wars Grand Slam? If you have added them, I'm so sorry, but I've watched your series many times, so yeah. Thank you very much for the continued support, really, really appreciate it. When it comes to actual replicas, probably not, no, simply because I like having my own designs in there, or I like having unique designs in there, I should say. and custom builds. However, I will be having the Extremist, which is a version of Extremist from Grand Slam in Series 4, so keep an eye out for that one, definitely. But as for others, probably not, no. The Bot Builder says, I'm going to be simple and ask 2 questions, but they are very similar. 1. What is your favourite custom-made robot in your series? I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, probably Icefire. It just looks so nice. It's probably the Firestorm of my series as well. It's got fire in the title, it's got a front-end flipper, and it always wins the heats. But watch it lose in round 1 in Series 4 now I say that. 2. What is your favourite custom-made robot from another Family Robot Wars series? Grated Carrot is the only incorrect answer. That's tough, there's quite a few. But if I had gun to my head, probably Terraphobia from Grand Slam. That thing looked absolutely tasty. I'll absolutely love the look of that. Although, for shits and giggles, I do want to say Glass Joe from that Builder Boys series as well, because that thing is freaking hilarious. I absolutely love it. So, one of those 2. You make up your mind which one. Annette Gadegaard. Again, sorry if I mispronounced that. I'm really terrible with pronouncing names. What robot do you think is over and underhated, and also need to know what robots are over and underrated? Right, so in my opinion, any robot that is hated is overhated. I don't think anyone should really hate robots. You can dislike them for certain, and you can definitely not have certain robots as your favourites, but I think hating a robot's a bit silly, really. So any robot that's hated, really, in my opinion, is overhated. But if I had to pinpoint a particular one, Tornado, get over it, guys. It won. It happened over 2 decades ago. It fairly beat Razor without cheating. Stop hating on it. I work with people who are nearly 20 who were born after that battle aired. Grow up and get over it. It's as simple as that. As for underhated, again, I mean, underhated, I think, I don't really hate any robots, so I can't really say that, but I suppose a robot that I think gets a lot of love and it doesn't really deserve it, 259, just because, yeah, everyone thinks it's the best robot in the world, and it really, really wasn't. It was potentially a grand finalist in Series 6, apparently, despite the fact that every single semi-finalist in Series 6 would have beaten it no problem, and the fact that it was probably a heat finalist at best. Fuck's sake, it wouldn't have even beat Vader. Let's be real now. Vader would have beaten 259. It just would not have won. I'm sorry. It's as simple as that. So yeah, 259. As for over and underrated, oh, good lord. I'd say for overrated, probably Behemoth, because Behemoth, you can only blame bad luck so many times for its losses before you just have to accept the fact that it wasn't a champion-worthy robot. It was a good robot. I enjoyed it fighting. It's not the amazing machine everybody makes it out to be. I'm sorry. There, I said it. As for underrated, it would probably have to be a robot that's really original and not really loved for its originality, or underappreciated for its originality. So in that regard, probably Tough as Nails, just because everyone thinks it's a really boring robot. And to be fair, I can understand it is a boring robot to watch, but it was the first of its kind. It was the first robot to use Hardock's armour. It was also the first ever full-bodied crusher. I mean, I can't think of another robot that has been a full-bodied crusher since, apart from Hold My Beer. So, yeah, I'd probably say Tough as Nails. Rayan Enrique Vegas this guy asks, hey Anderson, I have a question. Is one day RWA going to come back someday, or is it going to be let it in peace? Yeah, I've already explained this really, but I'll go over it again quickly. Just depends on time, really. I've got plenty of ideas. I've got plenty of things. In fact, I'll show you. Literally, I recently did this. This is the Hex Bug Impulse, and as you can see, I repainted it, and that is going to be a new dog meat. So yes, I definitely have plans to do it. It's just finding the time, really. But I do have plans. Also, there is one other issue I forgot to mention earlier. That brand spanking new arena I built, I did that amazing build diary for. Yeah, too big. Can't actually reach the other side of it. It's too big to be usable, and also it doesn't fit set up in this room. So yeah, I have to build a new arena again. Great. SBR Tutorials says, hi Anderson, these are my questions. 1. What is your Robot Wars dream battle? I mentioned it briefly earlier, but I think a champions melee between Tornado, the UK champions, Black Hole, the German champions, Pulverizer, the Dutch champions, and Panzer, the US champions, would have been really, really cool to have seen, so that's probably up there. Do you watch NHRL? If yes, what do you think of it? I've watched bits of it. It's not really my cup of tea, I must be honest. I find the commentary, no offence to the guys who host it, but I find the commentary bloody awful, if I'm honest. It's overrun with kit bots and generic vert after generic vert after generic vert. The arena's really bland and boring. Now, I'm not saying there's not been anything good from this, of course. I can't remember what it was called now, but seeing that there was a robot with a flamethrower and it melted a robot, that was really cool. I think there was an act called Flat White, that was pretty cool. Seeing that hit robots in the right place and sending their lipos on fire, that was really fun. But overall, it's just a bit too generic for my liking. It looks bland. It's just a bunch of kit bots. Yada yada yada. What is your favourite robot from Bugglebots? It's between two, Wayo and Gear Down for What. If I had to pick one out of the two, though, it would probably be Gear Down for What, simply because its battle with Snappy in Series 2 Bugglebots is probably my favourite Bugglebots. Probably my favourite Beetleweight fight ever, let alone Bugglebots fight. Honestly, it's such a great battle, so I'd probably say Gear Down, but Wayo is a very, very close second. Do you think Atomic could possibly have reached the semis in Series 5? No. It's as simple as that, I'm afraid. Like I mentioned briefly earlier, every single robot that won its heat in Series 5, in my opinion anyway, was the best robot of its heat, so yeah, I genuinely can't see a single robot that it could have beat, really. I think every robot that won its heat could beat Atomic that series. And if I'm being 100% honest, had Atomic met Can Opener a year later when it was the invertible version, I think that probably would have beaten it in Series 5. But Atomic was an okay robot, it was a solid machine, it did well in that Mayhem battle, but that was against two robots that couldn't self-right and had high ground clearances, so yeah, you know, I think it was a heat finalist at best in Series 5. In Series 7 it was a beast, but it wasn't that beast just yet, so I'm sorry to say it, but no, I don't think it would have made a semi-final in Series 5 at all. Olatar turns around and says, here's a couple of questions. 1. What would your fantasy robot battle be? It can be a 1v1, tag team, annihilator, etc. Well, I mentioned my fantasy battle earlier, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to basically say a fantasy battle of each one of those. So, fantasy for a 1v1, I tell you what, it would probably be Panic Attack versus Wild Thing in Series 4. Those are two of my all-time favourite robots, for very much the same reasons. The fact that they never actually once clashed with each other is quite a surprise to me. And if they're going to fight, I would love the Series 4 versions to fight, just because in my personal opinion they're the best versions of each robot. They're my favourite versions of the machines, so I'd probably say that. Tag team, I don't know, in all honesty, when it comes to tag team. I genuinely don't know. There's so many possibilities. And then as for an Annihilator, so for Annihilator, for me personally, a dream Annihilator would be this. Get all the champions you possibly can. By Series 7, I think the ones that were possibilities were Razor, because although Razor didn't return for Series 7, it was still very much a thing. Obviously, Can Opener, Disco Inferno, and Pussycat. I'm pretty certain Spikosaurus would have been a bit outdated at this point, so we won't bother with them. So get those four in there. Throw in Raging Reality, as it was the from the team that entered the most Annihilators at this point. And probably throw in there for a bit of a laugh. Probably throw Robo Chicken in there still, because Robo Chicken, it would have been nice to have seen Robo Chicken actually do something in an Annihilator, so that's my dream Annihilator. Would you build another Ant Weight or start a Beetle Weight? Both! It's as simple as that, really. I've actually started a CAD on a new Ant Weight machine called Antison 2 Electric Guruloo. The Great Stapley has helped me out with that, actually. It's still very much in the beta stages, it's very, very basic at the moment, but it's getting there. I'm slowly but surely learning how to CAD, so bear with me, it's a working process. As for a Beetleweight, yes, I do want to build a Beetleweight. I've actually got a plan for a Beetleweight. It's going to be called Painsleigh Harriet. I've made an RA2 mock-up of it. You can see that on your screens now, most likely. And the idea of it is simple. Box-shaped robot with a wedge at the back, two-wheel drive. Nice picture of Ainsley Harriet on the front there. The glowing lights are going to be where his eyes are, so that's basically going to be the proof and mobility lights that you need with Beetleweights. And it's going to have a pair of spinning whisks for a weapon. So, yeah, it's going to be absolutely shit, but I don't care. I do it for fun. I'm not going to be doing it to win anything. Roscoe Whitey says, "Oh, sweet Anderson, you're almost definitely going to regret this." Fuck's sake. I have 3 questions, one of which is semi-serious. What is your opinion on Scotland, haggis, and urn brew? let's be honest now, Scotland is essentially just that weird growth that everything gets every now and again and just keeps on growing and growing and growing, but actually has no real use or value whatsoever. And then, much like that growth, when you eventually cut it off from the main body, it will wither away and die a horrible slow death, which is exactly what will happen if Scotland ever did get independence. Haggis, very nice, especially with a nice bit of gravy. I can feel your rage right now, Ross, and it feeds me, it really, really does. And as for Urn Brew, I've never even heard of it. I mean, you have that mouthwash drink, that's orange, is that what it is, Urn Brew? Either way, it's binnable, whatever it is. What made you fall in love with Robot Wars and robot combat in general? Honestly, the robot designs. Seeing this big, huge, hulking, black wedge-shaped robot with a, the yellow spikes and the blinking eyes. I mean, that just looked fantastic. The Witch was awesome. Invertebrate looked cool and unique. Vercingetorix, Terrapin, so many interesting and intricate designs were in that heat. And yeah, to the point when I went home that night, because like I said, I watched it at a friend's house, when I went home that night, I got my Lego box out and I started making design, and I didn't care about how effective they were, I just wanted them to look cool. And that's still something I really do care about today. I don't care about any of my robots really being that effective, as long as they look good on camera for RWA, then I'm happy. So it would probably be the designs and the looks and all that sort of thing. Will you make Agony for Series 4 of RWA? Yes, you will, thank you very much. Absolutely not. But all joking aside, a massive milestone, and your service to the community cannot be underestimated. A true gent. Cheers, Ross. Really appreciate it, mate. Take care, bud. J33P Productions, congrats on the milestones. As for some questions, if Robot Wars ever came back and you had the chance to build a robot and compete, what would you come up with? I like the idea of a wedge-shaped machine, like a sort of triangular wedge-shaped machine. Two-wheel drive, very, very quick, very, very powerful. Swoops underneath robots, and instead of having like a flipper like most robots, or like a spinner, having a pneumatically powered like spike ram that comes out of the wedge sort of thing. So the wedge is like that. A robot comes up the wedge like that, and then it shoots up, and then it sort of launches them into the air. I think that would be really, really fun. But like, imagine what Spawn of Scudder from Series 4 could do, but on a bigger scale. And I'd probably call it something like Jet or something like that, because robots are taking off. So yeah, that's probably what I would come up with. Do you find it difficult to come up with ideas for robots to build for RWA? I only ask because I either find it difficult to think of original robot ideas or come up with ideas that would be far too complex to make all the damn time. If I could have a pound for every time I've given up on a design and thrown it across the room in frustration because it's not doing what I want it to do, I'd probably have an extra 150, 200 quid in my pocket, because it is difficult. I mean, I've got so many great intricate ideas in the past, but it just meant that they were so weak and fragile that barely touching them made them fall apart, and it just wasn't worth it. I definitely do struggle sometimes, but I eventually get there. It just takes a little bit of time. Are there any robots from any Robot Combat show you really like but unfortunately never really lived up to your expectation? Hobgoblin from Series 9, I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to live that one down, Jesus Christ. Might seem random, but are you into video games? And if so, what games do you like to play? I am into video games. I'm not what you would call one of these elite tier, over the top, spends 80 to 90 hours a day fucking playing video games, but no, I do enjoy them. I do like to play them every now and then, and when I get a chance to, I will play them. Growing up in the late 90s and early 2000s, of course, I am a big fan of 3D platformers and open world games like GTA and Driver and all that. I like a lot of modern stuff. Survival horror has come a long way in the last decade or so, and I absolutely love survival horror. I love horror full stop, to be honest, so yeah. Survival horror games are always a winner with me. First person shooters, I mean, OG Doom. Oh, and Doom 2. Mwah, chef's kiss. Absolutely fantastic game. I like retro gaming, believe it or not, so I do like a lot of, the old 2D side-scrolling platformers as well that you get on the 16-bit consoles and the 8-bit consoles. So it really just depends on the game itself rather than its style, but those are a few genres I do like to play, definitely. Hugsy Productions says, congrats on reaching the 50th episode. I have a few cues for you. If you ever had the opportunity to build a heavyweight robot, what weapon type, number of wheels and chassis type be? I did just mention this, but wedge, two-wheel drive, shooting spike, launchy thingy, named Jet. Which of my Family Rewards designs do you feel is the hot favourite to win my first ever series? I'm guessing this is based on the video you uploaded. I'm guessing, because there's no other ones that I can find anywhere. So based on that, Toothache looks really, really nice, so I'm going to say Toothache. When do you plan on doing the new Family Rewards series? Like I said before, just depends when I get some time. Yeah. Witherana asks, big question, what is love? Love, my friend, well, how else can I put it, is Banshee. The feeling you get when you look at Banshee, and your heart slowly starts beating, slowly starts racing, you have that funny feeling in your stomach, when the sweat beads start dripping down your head, as you shyly look over at her, knowing that you will never be good enough for her beautiful bust and her gorgeous gaze. That, my friend, is true love. Other one, what do you think about current battle bots? Yeah, like I said, I like it. I mean, I could do without all the drama. I personally believe that it's for people who are good sports, you know? I don't think it should be full of people who throw a hissy fit every time they lose. And that is my one issue with battle bots, is that there's so much drama. So many people get upset when they lose. This was originally created by a bunch of guys who wanted to turn up and smash toasters on wheels together, and now here we are with these ridiculously powerful, expensive killing machines, and everyone's crying every time their robot gets scratched because they don't want to have to fork out the money to fix it. So yeah, I love the battles, but good God, the drama, man, it really is cringy. To the point where, for the last 2 seasons, I've skipped everything that isn't the battles. Like, the second I watch the episode, I'm just skip, battle, watch the battle, skip. I don't bother watching any of the post-battle interviews, pre-battle interviews, any of the highlight reels or anything, because it's just drama, and I just can't be bothered with it. Razor259 says, I have 3 questions. What kind of music do you enjoy listening to? Thankfully, over the last 4 years, but basically thanks to COVID, actually, because of, you know, being in lockdown and being bored and all that, I've learned to appreciate a lot more music styles. I'm still not a massive fan of pop music, but there are occasional pop songs which do sound good, and I do enjoy them. I love Celtic music and, you know, Irish music. I love country music. I've even dipped my toes in the world of rap as well. Japanese music, J-rock. Oh my lord, there's some amazing J-rock bands out there. Classic metal, classic rock, hard rock. I like a bit of modern stuff. I love ska as well. Basically everything, really. Yeah, I have a wide spectrum of music that I like. What's your favourite band performer? Dropkick Murphys. Any day of the week, Dropkick Murphys. They are a fantastic band with great sounding music, and every show they put on is awesome. I've seen them live now, and I've loved every minute of it. One of the best live performances I've ever seen. Which music genre do you think best suits robot combat? Electronic, metal, a bit of both, or something else? Definitely techno metal. Without a shadow of a doubt, techno metal. It's got the electronic sound for the robots and the metal sound for the combat. It's such an underrated genre of music, and yeah, definitely the best one that I think is best suited for robot combat. Turtle Noob asks, will you do another account Mayhem? Maybe. I did that first one that I did, and I enjoyed it, and then I didn't do one for years and years, and I did that second one I did when I bought back IWA, and that was fun. But annoyingly, a lot of people started doing them around the same time, and there was quite a lot of people doing more than one of them. It got to the point where it sort of lost its sort of charm, I guess you could say. The whole idea of them really was, it was meant to be fun just seeing a bunch of robots designed by different people fighting, but when everybody's doing it, it got a bit boring. I may do one day, maybe next year, maybe the year after, not too sure. Again, it depends if I even get Family Robots back up and running again, depending on my time and my schedule. But if I do, I'll let you know, but we'll see. Which RWA Series 3 competitor frustrated you the most? Performance-wise, not building-wise, definitely Dogmeat 3.0. I put so much damn effort into that robot, and it was so good and so effective. But the one thing I forgot to do was put some studs, like literally all I needed was two Lego pieces, just to go over where the wheels were held on to hold them in place, and I forgot to do it. And because of that, the wheel kept falling off, and it lost early. Very, very frustrating indeed. Tarasaurus98 asks, who is your favourite person you've had the chance to meet in the community? I can't honestly answer that. That's like asking to pick your favourite child or your favourite, porn movie. I can't do that. I've met so many wonderful people over the years, and I'm very lucky that I have been able to. But, you know, I mean, just look at all the great guys. I mean, the Great Stapley, World of Woodrow, Orange Dose Overjuice. There's just, I mean, you know, that's just a few of them. David of Smeg, you know, I've met so many wonderful people in this community, and I'm really lucky to have said I've met them. And I couldn't honestly pinpoint who my favourite one is, because they each bring something different to the table and they're all really good. I've always been the kind of person, I've never had a best friend, I've always had a group of close friends. That's the way I've looked at it. I've never had a best friend, I've never had a favourite person. I've always had a group of people who I can depend on and rely on, and they can rely on me. So, yeah, that it's a bit of a cop-out, but that's my answer. Final answer, sorry. Marbiel Rexbro, again, apologies if I'm mispronouncing that one, but come on, help me out a little bit here. Will you or HATCHMATIC do a top 10 favourite or least favourite episodes of Robot Wars of all time video? Yes, that is definitely happening from me. That's why I'm doing all these lists at the moment. That's why I'm doing each series back to back, you know, Series 1 Best Episodes Battles, Series 2 Best Episode Battles, etc, etc. It's because once I've done that, I can then compare them all again and then decide what my favourite episodes and favourite battles of all time are and do a video on those subjects down the line. So yes, that is definitely happening from me, at least anyway. Is there a really random, obscure or rubbish robot that you have a soft spot for? Kinda obvious, wasn't it? Which judge's decision annoys you the most? Would have to be Waddle Dee versus Atlas in the All-Stars final of LEGO Wars. Real answer, it's tough because obviously it's based on what we've seen. A lot of the earlier series especially, they were 5-minute long battles condensed down to 2.5, 3 minutes tops, so we did miss out a lot. But as far as what we actually saw on screen, I'd be hard pressed to find anybody who can defend Chaos 2 versus Stinger. A lot of people think Stinger was robbed in that one, especially when they had the balls to turn around and say that damage was an equal category when Stinger absolutely duffed Chaos 2 up. I mean, if you look at it, not only did it take his back panel off, but if you look at it in the post-battle interview, one of the side panels is hanging on loose as well. They took an absolute tenderizing. How on earth they thought that was a close, equal damage, I'll never know. What is your favourite game show not related to robots? Oh, I loved Who Wants to Be a Millionaire growing up. Absolutely adored that show. So probably that one. Although I'm also a big fan of things like Takeshi's Castle and Ninja Warrior and things like that, so something along those lines maybe. Which Robot Wars robot would you like to have seen in BattleBots and vice versa? Reboot or classic? Well, I mean, obvious answer is obvious. I would have loved to have seen Biohazard in Robot Wars, just to see how well it would have done in a Robot Wars environment. And I think Hypnodisc could have had a bit of fun in BattleBots, because it was a big meaty spinner, so probably Hypnodisc, I'd say. The Great Stapley says, given that God is infinite and the universe is also infinite, would you like a toasted tea cake? No, I hate toasted tea cakes. They have cinnamon in them, and I hate cinnamon, and they also have currants in them. And I personally would like to say right now, whoever decided to take any form of bread or cake or chocolate or anything nice and put dry, disgusting fruit in it needs to be shot, okay? People who would build a time machine, they'd go back and they'd shoot Hitler, or they'd stop Stalin, or something like that. Me, I'd go back to find the person who thought that was a good idea and execute them in public, because as far as I'm concerned, it just shouldn't happen. Who in their right mind was sat there one day going, this is a lovely bit of cake, but you know what would make it better? Some lovely dried fruit like raisins and frickin' cherries. You may as well put rabbit droppings in it, you dickhead. Time and time again, people have ruined food, but nobody has ruined it anywhere near as much as the person who decided that fruit in chocolate or cake was a good idea. Fuck 'em. What other YouTubers do you watch of any genre or category? Give us some recommendation. Okay, I'm just going to quickly speedrun this one. Ashens is an obvious answer because he's quintessentially British and I absolutely love everything that is quintessentially British. Totally Pointless TV does some really good video essays, so if you enjoy watching long video essays, I definitely recommend checking that channel out. Fascinating Horror is a fantastic channel that does small 10 to 15 minute long documentaries about natural disasters like earthquakes and hurricanes, but also about man-made disasters such as plane crashes, traffic collisions, boat sinkings, etc, etc. So again, check him out. His videos are fantastic. If you're a fan of true crime, I certainly am. I love I Can Murder a Podcast and That Chapter. I really recommend both of those channels for different reasons. If you're a fan of wrestling, I can't recommend Wrestling bios enough. Not only is wrestling bios very, very educational, but also very, very funny as well. His Reliving the War series is hilarious, and I honestly haven't laughed that much watching videos for a long time, so go check him out. Definitely worthy of your time if you're a wrestling fan. If you want to see some gaming channels that you might not have heard of, I absolutely love Erin Plays and The Gaming Brit Show. I think they're both really entertaining gaming YouTubers that again don't make videos that are too long, so you haven't got to dedicate an entire afternoon just to watch one video. You can actually, you know, watch a few episodes or a few videos of theirs in continuation, and it won't take up too much of your time. Casual Geographic and Lindsay Nicole are brilliant animal YouTubers. They do some fantastic animal educational videos, and they're really entertaining, and you can tell they're really passionate about what they talk about as well. So again, if you haven't, I mean, I'm sure you've seen at least Casual Geographic, but if you haven't, I definitely recommend both those channels. And if you're a fan of movie reviews, Brandon Tennell does fantastic cult movie reviews. So, you know, low budget action movies and low budget horror films and low budget adventure films and sci-fi films, etc, etc. Those are the kind of things that Brandon Tennell does, so I definitely recommend him because he's very funny and interesting, and he's Canadian, which is always a bonus. And Stitched Together Pictures does amazing horror movie reviews, especially when comparing reboots to their originals. I think that's really good, and he has some great character work as well. So yeah. Outside of televised robots, do you have any favourite machines that you feel deserve more love? Past, present, any live circuit, any nationality? I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know. I have not been keeping up with the live event as much as I wanted to. So I don't know. I mean, all the robots I know are ones that have been televised, I guess. Yeah, I genuinely haven't got a clue, I'm afraid. Sorry, I have no idea. Oh, for fuck's sake. Should the United Kingdom remain a member of the European Union or leave the European Union? For fuck's sake, it's over. Jesus Christ. For those who don't know, I voted Remain, okay? But I'm not a Ramona. At the end of the day, I lost fair and square, so get us out. Fair enough. I was one of the few people who voted Remain who was like, yep, we lost, get us out the bloody EU. What makes me laugh is that all the people who did vote to leave now refuse to admit that it was a fucking stupid idea, because everything has gone to shit since then. So yeah, I'm all for, you know, I'm all for, you know, democracy, but at one point you have to admit you really fucked up. Starry Galaxy asks, hey, what's your opinions on multibots or clusterbots? Clusterbots, in my opinion, are only clusterbots if they split into however many pieces. That is, in my opinion, the rule. One thing I cannot stand is how modern clusterbots and multibots, whatever the hell you want to bloody call them, are just two middleweights put next to each other, or two featherweights put next to each other, or two antweights put next to each other. No, that's not how it works. The idea of a clusterbot is it enters the arena and it splits into as many parts as possible. Gemini, V3, I'm not calling it its actual name because that's a fucking stupid name, I'm sorry, but yeah, Gemini, V3, for example, you know, black and blue. These are clusterbots. They enter the arena, they split in half. You cannot tell me that putting two robots that have nothing to do with each other in the arena is a clusterbot. It's not. It's two different robots, and that is unfair in my opinion. It's the same with mini-bots. I don't think mini-bots should be a thing either. With the perfect example being Nuts 2 in Series 10, you know, one of them pushed the pit button and Behemoth went down the pit and lost because of that. But that's not Nuts 2 pushing the pit release button, it's a completely different entity, a tiny little fucking robot that is completely unnoticeable getting a KO win for its team when it's not even actually part of that robot. You cannot tell me Nuts 2 is a clusterbot. It's a heavyweight with 3 fucking beetle weights around it. So yeah, that's my thoughts on clusterbots. If they split up, brilliant. If they don't, fuck them. It's as simple as that. And if I came to power and had the rule book, I would make that a rule instantly, because I just don't think it works. I don't like it. Just for argument's sake. Oh look, it's a clusterbot. They're two completely different robots, but look, it's a clusterbot, guys. Honestly, it's a clusterbot. No, it's not. It's just two fucking robots you put next to each other. Fuck them. Ahmed the Camel Games asks, Anderson, what editing software and cameras do you use for RWA? Been really wanting to do my own fan battle bots. I've got the bots ready, just not the electrical equipment. Right, so what I use for RWA is simple, really. For editing software, I use Sony Vegas Pro 13. It's very outdated, I must admit, but at the end of the day, it is easy to use. I know how to use it, and it does everything I want it to do. So why would I upgrade when I've got it there? If it's not broke, don't fix it. As for cameras, for my fixed still camera, I use my phone, which is what I'm using right now. No, I don't know what type of phone it is. I'm not a phone mad person. I just know it's a Samsung Galaxy something. I genuinely don't even know what make it is. I couldn't care less. As for camera, I use my wife's camera for the movement stuff. My wife is my camera lady, so she uses her camera. Off the top of my head, I'm not too sure what it is, but I will put all the stats and all that up around here, and I'll put links down below for what it is and where you can find it. But it is quite expensive. Being honest, if you're desperate, if you want to do a family rental series, I'd recommend just use your phone for a camera. Honestly, it's cheaper. You've already got it, so you may as well use it to your advantage. And yeah, editing software wise, if you can't get Sony Vegas Pro 13, because again it's money, there's loads of free ones out there. Again, I'll link a few down below. I did my research about free ones a while ago, so I do know quite a few free ones that are available that are really helpful. I think World of Woodrow uses a free one now, I think about it. I might be wrong, he might have upgraded since I last checked, but I think last time I checked in on him, he used a free one, so I'll find that out for you. But all that information will be down below. And as for microphone, if you did want to do post commentary like I do, can't go wrong with the Blue Yeti. Logitech Blue Yeti, they are awesome. Again, they are a little bit pricey though, so down below I will link, I'll put an Amazon link to the microphone I used previously to this one. I think it was £20. It might have gone up in price since then, but it was perfectly fine. I used it for the first 2 series of LEGO Wars that I commentated on, and I used it for quite a bit of IWA back in the day as well. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. I really do. Ahmed the Camel Games also asks a few other questions. Do you Marmite? Do I fuck? It's the most vile thing in the world and belongs back in the cat's ass where it fucking came from. Okay, last question. We all know you love Little Fly, but what do you think of its persona, the $6 million mouse? It was there. That's about the only good thing I can say about it. Caleb Robot Art says, given that snacks are the most important thing to a roboteer, what in your opinion is the best snack? Sausage rolls. It's not even close. They are the ultimate snack. Saucy rolls. You cannot go wrong. Pork pies are a very good second though. Killdozer says, okay then, first of all, congratulations. Now for the questions. Is there any animal, object, etc. that you would have genuinely liked to have seen a robot based on? Probably an octopus. I like the idea of like a robot with like 8 lifting arms going around and lifting things up, so probably an octopus. I think that would have been quite fun. What would you say is your favourite international series of Robot Wars? Series 2 of Extreme Warriors for me. I think it had the best robots of all the international competitions. I think it had some of the best battles of all the international competitions. The side events are really good as well. And it was probably the only international competition where it felt like it was on par with the international with the UK series, so I'd probably say that one. What is your all-time favourite rubbish robot? I'm not going to say Little Fly because I don't think that is a rubbish robot. So rubbish robot that I think is fun, robot that I like. It's hard not to love something. I think something is just great fun. I love the low-tech ideologies of it. I love how grungy it is. Like again, it feels like a basement robot, it feels like something you'd see in an underground legal fighting competition, so probably something, yeah. Have you played any of the official Robot Wars video games? I've played all of them and I owned most of them. The only one I didn't own was Extreme Destruction on Game Boy Advance, but I owned the rest of them. But I still played Extreme Destruction on Game Boy Advance because I had a friend who had it and let me borrow it for a bit, but never owned it. The first 2 sucked. Arenas of Destruction was alright. Extreme Destruction on PC was okay, but it was a bit over the top. Extreme Destruction on Game Boy Advance was actually really enjoyable from what I remember, although I haven't played it in years, so I could be wrong there. If Robot Wars was brought back again and you were given the chance to organise it, what would it be like? How many robots would there be, and what would the fight format be? Fuck, that's a good question. That could potentially be a video of its own, but for now I'm just going to give a brief description. 8 heats of 8 robots, 4-way melees, start things off, 1 winner from each. They go through to the heat semis, and then the 6 losers have 1 big 6-way rumble. 2 winners go through from there to the semis, then it's a knockout competition, heat final. We then have 8 heat finalists. They make up the first half of the seedings for the top 16 bracket. Meanwhile then the heat finalists that lost, they all make the second half of that bracket. They're all ranked first to 16, and then we have our top 8. Then we have our top 16 bracket. And yeah, that's pretty much how it would go. The one thing I would definitely do is, instead of having the house robot CPZ accessible, I'd have it so the house robots were penned off until the robot was killed. You don't really need the house robots anymore. Robots have advanced enough now where you can almost always be guaranteed to get a good fight out of them. So I would say is, let the robots fight, and then let the house robots be released, let's say, after the robot is counted out, and then they can feast on its carcass for like 30 seconds, play around with it a little bit, throw it around, put it in the pit, put it on the floor flipper, and yeah, so that's how I would do it anyway. Do you like my questions, or do you think I'm a donkey's bottom? Little Ref couldn't resist. Brilliant, Ref, fantastic. Razor1905 2.0 asks, congratulations on 50 episodes. Okay, here's my questions. Have you ever been to a Robots Live or Extreme Robots event? No, sadly not, but I was very, very close to going to one. I was actually meant to go to the one in Portsmouth in 2020, and it was going to be a big gathering of us. Like, again, it was going to be like basically the Avengers for the robot community. Loads of us were going to be going to it. We were all going to share hotel rooms in the same hotel, and we were going to make a proper community weekend out of it. And then unfortunately COVID hit and it got cancelled, and I've not had the opportunity to go to one since. But yeah, haven't gone to one so far, but I definitely intend to in the future. What's your favourite fan-made Robot Wars series and favourite fan-made Robot Wars robot? So fan-made Robot Wars series, I'm going to be a bit of a cop-out and actually do one that no one remembers because it happened back in the late 2000s. There was a show called, or a fan-made Robot Wars series called Lego Robot Wars Lobster Edition, and good God, this guy did some amazing Lego builds. Absolutely fantastic. So good. And that was easily my favourite. If we're going to go for modern series, I am a big fan of the Builder Boys series, to be honest. I think his robots are really cool. He has a lot of really nice custom designs as well, so I'd probably go for his. As for my favourite Family Robot Wars robot, I mentioned earlier I love Terraphobia and Glass Joe, so probably those two. They're definitely up there. There's a couple of others I'm a big fan of. I like Tempest from your series, actually, now I think about it. I think that's a really cool big flipper. And fuck it, I'm just going to say it, Grated Carrot. Can't go wrong with a bit of Grated Carrot, can you? Favourite reboot robot? That's difficult, but probably Rapid or Aftershock, one of those two. They're both really awesome for different reasons. Rapid because it looks cool and sexy and has the technology, and Aftershock because it just gives so much willy and I love it. So it's one of those two. Do you play any robot combat games, e.g. Robot Arena 2 or RR2? So I tried playing a Robot Arena 2 over lockdown, but it just kept crashing, so I gave up after a while. I've had RR2 ready to install on my computer for months now. I just haven't got around to doing it. One day I will, but I've got too much shit to do, to be honest, so I haven't got the time to play it. But when I get a bit of free time, I'll probably try and get it done. If x equals 12, then what is 3 bracket x minus 3 bracket divided by bracket 2 times plus 9 bracket question mark? Porn? I don't fucking know. And last but by no means least, Shadowscope FSM asks, did you ever see the movie Real Steel? If so, what did you think of it? No, I didn't. I'll be honest, I've never even heard of it before I read this question. I had to look it up. It looks kind of cool. I might watch it when I get a chance to, because it looks kind of fun. But no, I never actually watched it. No, sorry. Which robot or robots that never got toys would you have most like to see get one? Crush Station, Splinter, Dominator 2, Suicidal Tendencies, Dietor. I mean, I could go on for ages here, but those are just the ones that popped into my head, to be honest. Cassius Chrome. I mean, I know that obviously Series 7 happened too late for them to make pullbacks, but it would have been nice to have had a complete set of house robot pullbacks. Storm 2, if you're going to do Cassius Chrome, you need to do a bunch of Series 7 machines, so M2 would have been good, Storm 2, Typhoon 2, maybe Atomic, you know, those are probably, I mean, yeah, that's just, again, a few off the top of my head. There could be millions more for all I know. Favourite household item or items to use as a robot? For me, hole punch flippers all the way. Hole punch flippers are good fun, but it's annoying because it's trying to build an extension onto them which then can get underneath other robots, and I've always struggled with that. For me, it's going to sound really stupid, but when I was growing up, my mum had this door stop. It was like a door wedge that was shaped like a lion's body, but then had a wedge coming out of, like, basically the arse of it. And because its head was like sort of extended over its paws, you could push on the head, and then the wedge bit would flip up. So that was a rear hinge full body flipper in my series before it ever aired on YouTube for a long time. And then we moved down south from the Midlands, and that was one of the things she did not bring with us. So it stayed somewhere. I mean, it's still probably in that house now for all I know, but one of the things we didn't bring with us, and yeah, that was that. But yeah, I guess door stops make sense because it was a powerful one. It flipped things for miles, so yeah, door stops. And that concludes this Q&A. A massive thank you once again to everybody who commented and asked questions. I really appreciate it. And a massive thank you to everybody who's watched my videos for the last 6 years. I know my upload schedule has been absolute wank sauce since I started, really. So a big thank you to everybody for your patience and for watching and commenting and subscribing and just supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. Here's to 50 more brilliant episodes. Brilliant. It's my series, probably not. But yeah, here's to the future. Fingers crossed I'll get some time to do some RWA again as well. And yeah, that just about wraps things up. So, thanks very much for watching. I'm Ant9132, the Robots Guru, and I'll see you soon.